Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about taking big ideas and, breaking them down into explainers that just make sense.
You know the feeling, right? Staring at that screen, maybe feeling a little bit disconnected in a virtual classroom. Well, what if the secret to making online education actually click isn't just about showing up, but about how we all connect once we're there?
So, here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with the big challenge facing online classrooms today. Then we'll dive into a really cool new study that tried to figure it all out, look at how they did it, unpack what the students had to say, and wrap it up with the big takeaways.
Okay, first things first. We really need to get one thing straight. True, well-designed online learning is a completely different beast from what many of us experienced a few years back with emergency remote teaching.
And the paper we're looking at really hammers this home. It's not about just copy-pasting a lecture onto a video call. No, the real magic happens when you shift your whole mindset, when you focus on building an actual community where people feel like they're part of something.
All right, so let's get into the good stuff. A study at an online university over in Spain decided to tackle this problem head-on. They wanted to know what really works, which tools, which activities to get students engaged and feeling connected. And, they were super smart about this. They didn't just ask a broad question. They got really specific, zeroing in on 4 key areas, from how students feel about watching recorded classes to which specific digital tools get the job done. So, how'd they actually do it? Let's pull back the curtain a bit and look at the nuts and bolts of their research, who was involved and what they actually did. So, they got 69 students to volunteer, all of them studying to be teachers themselves, which is a cool detail. It was a mix of undergrads and master's students, and they all filled out a questionnaire about their real lived experiences using all these different online tools.
And they had quite the toolkit. They used a bunch of different free resources like Google Docs for working in small groups, Padlet for when the whole class needed to brainstorm together, and even Wakelet for fun stuff like sharing avatars. The whole point was to make class more dynamic and build up the students' own tech skills.
Okay, now for the part we've all been waiting for. What did the students actually say? The feedback they got was super clear, and honestly, some of it's pretty surprising.
So when you look at the live classes, there was a clear hands-down winner. Sure, about 70% of students were cool with small breakout rooms, but a massive 91% really liked working all together as one big group. And listen to this. While a few students straight up disliked small groups, not a single one disliked the whole class format.
Wow.
And get this, a whopping 57% of students said they liked the whole class thing very much. That's the top score you can give. This wasn't just a small preference, it was the most popular option by a long shot. It really shows that people want that feeling of a shared experience.
You don't need to be a data scientist to see what's happening in this chart. It just brings it all to life. There's a clear positive trend. If you like group work, you tended to like both kinds. But see how the dots are pushed up higher for the whole class option? That just confirms it was the crowd favorite.
Okay, so that's all well and good for the live class. But what about everyone else? The students who can't make it live and have to watch the recording later. That's a huge deal in online learning. How does this all work for them?
And this one comment from a student just hits the nail on the head. Imagine watching a recording where everyone just disappears into breakout rooms. It's empty. You miss the entire conversation, the whole point of the exercise. You're just left out.
And yep, the numbers totally back this up. Watching recorded breakout rooms was seen as only somewhat useful, but watching the whole class working on one shared thing, that was seen as way, way more useful because you could actually see and follow the entire process.
And look, here we see it again in the data for recorded classes. It's the same story. That preference for the whole class experience is just undeniable. It really shines a light on a big blind spot in how online classes are often designed.
So what about the actual apps they were using? Well, there were some clear favorites. Tools like Genially and Padlet that are really flexible and let you get creative, they were big hits. But the simpler stuff like straw poll for a quick poll, yeah, not so much. Versatility is key.
And here's something really interesting. The learning didn't just happen during class. Students put a huge value on things they got after class, like a clean summary with all the links and even optional forums for extra challenges. They loved it. So, after all that, what's the bottom line? What does this all mean for actually making online classes better for everyone? Let's break it down. Basically, this study hands us a 4-step playbook. 1. Focus on activities where everyone can work together. 2. Pick tools that are flexible enough for both live students and recording watchers. 3. Always give a great summary after class. And 4. It's time to seriously rethink breakout rooms so we don't leave people behind.
At the end of the day, what this all seems to be saying is pretty powerful. It's not really about having the fanciest tech. It's about using the tools we have in a smarter way, a way that builds a real community and makes every single student feel like they're part of the conversation, no matter how they're tuning in.